Hello everybody, it is Michael with The Intrusive Thought Show, and today we're going to do a tier list of the Pokemon games. I know I haven't done Pokemon on here yet, and I'm definitely looking to do that at some point. I just kind of wanted to I'm going to probably make this a regular series, just doing random tier list. I think it's an easy and fun kind of thing to do there, here and there. I'll probably do them in order, so like we'll start with red, blue, and yellow. I'll give those an A tier because it's just they're the OGs, you know. I think I played red, I believe. And I think I played yellow too, which was a lot of fun. I liked the Pikachu kind of twist on it. So we're only doing the main series games. I mean, I could probably do one of all the side games, to be honest with you. And stuff like that. So I just like them. You know, they're the OGs. Things like that. And yeah, all right. There is Gold and Silver. I believe I played. Honestly, I'm giving it S tier because you get to go to Kento and Johto. First of all, second of all, I love Typhlosion and for Alligator. Although I know Typhlosion ain't beating them. Anyway, so those are definitely a higher because that's how you do a sequel. You get to verse the protagonist of the first game. I mean, you can't beat that whatsoever. I mean, you get to challenge Trainer Red, which is dope, and gets to fight his whole team of like level 70s, and in Heart Gold is even more, but we'll get to that in a minute. Next, we got our lovely third gen. I mean, honestly, all of third gen, you know, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, honestly, they can all go S tier. Can't really beat those. I feel like, you know, Emerald, you could arguably put above these two, in my opinion, and that's what I played more of. Getting to do all the post game was amazing. I mean, Hoenn is just a cool region with all the tropical stuff. I think the Pokemon are really dope. Trying to think, I just feel like it was a good refresh of the series. I feel like it really added a lot, stuff like that. I'm trying to think of what else. I think it's a S tier for me, honestly. I'll also put Leaf Green and Fire Red. I'm like debating. I feel like A is pretty fair. Yeah, A is pretty fair. I think the only reason I can't maybe put it as high is just because it's still pretty similar to the Gen 1 kind of stuff. I mean, you get to go to the Sevi Islands, which is pretty cool, but I do just feel like Emerald, personally, was the one that actually added more content. Like, it was kind of after these two. So, sorry, I kind of did those a little out of order, but, I think A is pretty fair for them. I've kind of put it in the same kind of just the Gen 1 Kanto region in general, you know, stuff like that. I just think Ruby and Sapphire, Emerald, and these Gold and Silver were just better in my opinion. Next we got was a Diamond and Pearl. Honestly, I'm like C or B. I'm gonna put a B tier. Uh, you know, I really like Diamond and Pearl. It wasn't my first Pokemon game, but I did like, you know, one thing that I felt that the Sinnoh game struggled with was being a little too slow at times. I feel like Diamond and Pearl just, you know, the Pokemon, they didn't have all those Pokemon like right away, like Magmortar and stuff. And I don't know, there was probably just some elements I feel like that were maybe missing a little bit. But Platinum, and I mean, on the other hand, I'm putting S tier because Platinum is what Gen 4 I really is real Gen 4 to me. Also, Platinum is my first Pokemon game, so it's always going to hold a special place in my heart. I know this is quite a jump, you know, for a remix between its originals, but Platinum, first of all, added all those cool evolution Pokemon. The whole distortion world was amazing. The post game, I've actually just did a Pokemon Platinum file. I didn't really film it because, you know, I like to keep some things to myself for gaming purposes, which is kind of a struggle at times with like inspiration for the channel and stuff. But Platinum, I just feel like kind of in the same boat as Emerald. I just feel like they added so much in terms of post game, in terms of more Pokemon in the game, just those type of things. I just feel like it really captured. I feel like it just did way better than Diamond and Pearl in terms of balance, in terms of the Pokemon, things like that. So we'll kind of keep it there. Heart Gold Soul Silver is also an S tier. Probably, you know, some people might consider this controversial, like these remakes being better than these remakes, but Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like I was there for that with the Poketch and actually getting it from GameStop because, you know, it was kind of the game after I played Platinum. that I really got into. Ugh, I'm so mad I lost my Pokemon Heart Gold. Like, literally one of my favorite games. Because you get to go to Kento and Johto, first of all. Just off the bat, has the same thing going as Gold and Silver. Sorry about the cough. And you also get, the physical special split, obviously, that came with, the Gen 4 games. You get, they added the Battlefront tier. They made Trainer Red an even more difficult matchup with the levels being higher. Level 88 Pikachu, nobody's beat that. I don't think anybody's beat that yet. So I just feel like these games really use the Gen 4 hardware. Oh, and the Pokeathon. I loved the Pokeathon. That was so much fun. The mini games were just so much fun for that. And there was like the national park, and there was also getting to rematch all the gym leaders and getting like to find them. They obviously had all the legendaries too and stuff. The sick 3D animations of Ho-Oh and Lugia, because Platinum and Diamond and Pearl didn't have those 3D cutscenes yet. So they kind of stepped that up a little bit with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, with Ho-Oh and Lugia flying in and stuff, or Lugia coming out of the waterfall. And versing the Kimono girl, that was the toughest battle ever. All 5 of them in a row with the evolutions, no heals. They made it harder than Gold and Silver. So that was just an interesting thing that they did for that remake, is they made the game a little more challenging at some parts. Next we have Pokemon Black and White. And honestly, the only thing I didn't like is there wasn't as much original Pokemon, but I do feel like it did take a bold direction for the franchise. I'm like debating between these. I feel like C's pretty fair for Pokemon Black and White. I just feel like the game was kind of short. I didn't like that all the gyms were kind of in a row. And I don't know. I just feel like there were some things they could have maybe done a little bit more, with it. But I do think it was a very bold direction. Pokemon did get a lot of flack for that. I even gave it some flack at the time of talking crap about an ice cream cone and stuff. But I think it's one of those games, like, you appreciate it later on in life, honestly. I just feel like it's one of those games that aged very well, if that makes sense. For the time it came out to now, I feel like it aged very well in terms of, it didn't do anything too gimmicky. Like, I liked the triple battle kind of concept, but they didn't really do much with it. I also think the PNC or Panpour and Pansage, it was kind of cool to have like another kind of starter, was kind of a nice thing that I liked. And the first gym being based on your starter was such a cool concept. I actually wish for that you teamed up with your 2 rivals and it was a full 3-on-3 match. That actually would have been really cool. That's the one missed opportunity there. But and also the final battle being against the evil team at the Pokemon League was definitely a twist, and seeing a giant castle spawn out of nowhere. So I just feel like C's fair for Black and White. I mean, you could maybe argue B tier, but I just feel like Diamond and Pearl is slightly better. But I do like the direction it took with the franchise. Next we have Black 2 and White 2. S tier immediately. Criminally underrated Pokemon games. Again, kind of with the Platinum. I mean, these weren't just remakes. These were sequels, first of all. That off the bat, immediate respect for that. I mean, they added a whole new story. Like, tons of new areas. They changed the whole progression of, like, what cities you go to. With Charon being a gym leader. The Pokemon, where there was more of, like, the original Pokemon from, like, the other 4 original games. And I feel like it was really, again, what Unova should have been, I feel like, a little bit more in a lot of ways. I feel like I just really liked the progression in that game. The Pokemon World Tournament was dope. The post-game was a lot more robust than the original Black and White 2. I mean, I feel like having a good post-game is just, like, really good for just any game. But I just feel like they, I don't know. I just feel like Black and White 2 just really stepped up and wasn't only just a proper sequel, it was arguably the better games of Gen 5, I would say. Next we got Gen 6. This is the first 3D Pokemon game, so that already, definitely adds to it. I'm trying to think here, because, like, first of all, I liked that there was a lot more Pokemon. I really liked the concept of it being in France, Paris. I did like the XP share a little bit. The Mega Evolutions was pretty cool. I thought it was a pretty cool concept, very bold concept at the time. It was kind of, but I also don't like it because it did kind of start Pokemon on the gimmicks kind of, which I didn't like too much. After that, it kind of like I didn't start liking that as much. But I feel like X and Y. I mean, I've restarted X and Y so many times. I did the Wonder Trade challenges. I feel like B is pretty fair for that. I feel like that's a fair ranking there. Some people might argue between these two. I mean, Black and White did do some things better than X and Y, but X and Y just being full 3D just immediately ups the respect I think you have to have for the game, and that it really pushed the DS to its limits. I think with the 3D, the 3DS especially, really incorporating those elements and the animations and all that good stuff. So I kind of wish we got the Pokemon Z or like a sequel like X2 and Y2. I do feel like that was a missed opportunity. But Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire kind of make up for that immediately. A tier immediately, I think, is a fair ranking. Because, I don't think it's as good as the originals. It added a lot of stuff compared to the originals. I liked some of the Mega Evolution stuff. I loved the, like, Delta episode was a pretty cool thing. Primal Groudon and Kyogre I thought was a really cool concept. I think that kind of added a nice little twist as a remake. I think my only like complaint I would say is they did not have the Battle Frontier, and I kind of just wish they did it. They didn't even have the Battle Tower, which kind of I wasn't a fan of, but I did like the incorporation of just like the XP share system with Auras and things like that, and I do feel like there was a lot of content in the game still, like especially with the Hooper rings and finding all the legendaries. So, very cool game, very cool entry. It was a nice twist on Ruby and Sapphire for sure. All right, and then after Gen 6, we have Pokemon Sun and Moon. And first of all, I will say the new gym, like not having gyms in the game, was a risk for sure. But there were elements I liked, but I feel like the progression was so slow in this game. I kind of want to give it D tier, but I feel like C tier is pretty fair for it. I feel like both of these are like pretty close. My issue with Sun and Moon, first of all, besides the lack of gyms, I don't know. I just felt like it was a little slow at times. I didn't like the kind of the map setups on some of the things. I did like the challenge of it a little bit, but I just feel like I mean the it wasn't their best selling, and I just feel like I'm trying to like explain, like I can't really explain Gen 7 that much because I haven't played it that much. So that alone I think says a lot. Like it's not like I'm gonna go back and play it again, kind of. Alright, well let's go to Gen 8 now. Sword and Shield. So I did like Sword and Shield, but I do feel like it was a bit linear. I kind of want to give it C or D tier. I'm feeling C tier is pretty fair for that. I feel like the progression was better, but I hated the villain teams. First of all, the story sucked. I did not care for it. I did kind of like the DLC, but like at the same time, I kind of don't like that Pokemon started becoming like other franchises and did DLC. Like I'd rather like honestly Emerald's post game and Platinum's post game and Black and White 2's post game arguably had more content than the DLCs for Sword and Shield, I would say, first of all. I mean, they kind of had like a little like story for both of them, but like it was just like you battle and catch Pokemon and legendaries, and it was cool and stuff, but I also just feel like I did like a lot of the designs, but I also Dynamaxing like I wasn't a fan of it, to be honest with you. It's really where I felt like they kind of took the gimmicks too far. I mean, it's kind of cool. You get to be giant, like Pokemon in a stadium, and the gym. I did like that they brought back gyms, and I did like the concept that they made the gyms more like stadium-like. But I also didn't like that there wasn't really like an Elite Four per se. Like it was kind of you just go up against randos. So like, I think for those reasons alone, it didn't hit with me as much. Next we got Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond. D tier, F tier, awful. Um, I didn't like, first of all, the art style that they chose. They did not do the 3D, which I felt was like lazy. I probably could have put Legends Arceus on this list because I feel like that was more the remake for Sinnoh, if I'm being 100% real with you. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were worse than Platinum. They didn't have nearly as much content, first of all. They did like the Pal Park like weird thing. We had to get all those shards, which is so irritating. Uh, I just didn't care for it. I really didn't like it. Like I'll only be replaying Platinum from now on. I just feel like another thing. Well, first of all, it was like a 1-to-1 remake, which I did not like. All the other remakes at least added a lot of stuff. I especially, Heart Gold, Black. I mean, I wanted something of this caliber if they were gonna do a Gen 4 remake, and people begged for it for years. So the expectations were super high for it, and Nintendo did not deliver. They rushed the hell out of that game. I think there was like a ton of glitches and stuff. I did again not like the chibi art style. Or the chibi art style. Actually, I'm seeing ROM hacks of that game that are like adding all the Pokemon Platinum stuff, adding the 1-to-1 like the actual character scaling where it's not that art style, where it's the more normal like 3D art style, which I think is really cool. They're actually doing it. Um, which is it's just sad that it's art. Like people can arguably make a better game than Nintendo. So for those reasons, I have to say it's D tier. Like it's probably the worst on this list. I'm still to this day kind of salty about it because I kind of grew up with Platinum obviously more than the original Diamond and Pearl and stuff, but I just really wanted something better. Like I honestly, if they were gonna do Legend Arceus, like they should have just done Legend Arceus and probably could have put more time into it and actually probably add more content to that game. Arguably, um, the only thing with that game is like you have to catch them all, so it's like you're probably not gonna want to ever reset that game again, just because of that. Next we have Scarlet and Violet, and first of all, going open world was a bold direction because they kind of are building on what Sword and Shield kind of did, and they kind of did it with Diamond and Pearl with the underground area was kind of interesting. Going in different order of stuff was a very cool concept. The villain team sucked. I hated Team Star. I mean, when I want villains of Pokemon, like I want them to destroy the world, like or try to, like I want people stealing my Pokemon. I want the base under the game corner. Where was that? So I do feel like those elements. I did like the what was it the Titan Pokemon was kind of a cool thing. Again, doing the gyms in different order was a cool concept, but I wish they had the level scaling. Was a big thing I feel like they missed on because they didn't really do it as much. I mean, they kind of did. The only thing is like it's kind of a mixed feeling about it because the more linear nature of some of the older Pokemon games where there's like trainers like lined up in certain areas, like I did like that better for like actually training your Pokemon instead of going against trainers you kind of see ad hoc or like seeing them in the wild. So like for me, I think a B tier is pretty fair for Scarlet and Violet. I do feel like the stuff with like that what was it Area Zero was really cool. The DLCs I didn't care for that much. I felt like they were a little. I like okay, so there's the first one was Kitakami, which is a different region, which was kind of cool, but like and the story was kind of fun, but again, it just wasn't the expansive. Like when I hear the word expansion pack, I better expand this game a lot, and I don't feel like they did it that well with the DLCs. If they were worth it's kind of up in the air to me. I feel like they kind of weren't, if I'm being 100% real with you. Like once again, these post games of Emerald, Platinum, Heart Gold arguably had more content alone than some of these DLCs. I kind of want Nintendo to abandon DLCs for Pokemon games. It doesn't work for me. I'd rather just have more games, more stuff included in the original game. Excuse me. For starters, I'd rather just have more stuff included. Let me take a sip of my spray. My throat's like getting dry from all this weather. But like I said, I would rather there just be more stuff included again with these DLCs. So, anyway, that's kind of just my little short spiel. Kind of just wanted to do a tier list. I might do several more of these for other franchises. And we'll go from there. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.